Yay! Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the program. Today is March the 22nd. Wow. It's about to end, brothers and sisters. Welcome to the program. We are happy to have you as usual. Continue to help us to share and like and subscribe and get this message across. People are listening, especially our young babies are listening. We will change this narrative for the future of our children. Devil has no choice. This devil, your church, has no choice against this one. Even the God, anybody against the future of our children, we will come for you. It's just that simple. We will come for you. So welcome to the program. My name is Mona Chimsaga. Continue to help us to share and like. Go ahead.
And my name is Ekwi Ekwutosina Ndi Igbo, Ekwutosina Ndi Africa, Ekwutosina Mmadụ Ibe Gị. You're welcome to this one-of-a-kind show. This is one-of-a-kind show. Because you know why? Sorry?
I say one-stop show.
Yes. Because here we bring you what is trending in Nigeria and all over the world. We show you the problems and then point you to the solution. You know what? We are Africans. As Africans, we do not lament in the face of challenges. We tackle the challenges, fix the problems. That's who we are. Males, females, adults, youths, children. So please bring your chair closer and let the journey begin. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, brothers and sisters. Continue to help us to share. I'm trying to pull up the message, the music while we share.
Yes, continue to hit the like button, please. Let's join to share. You're welcome. You're welcome. Welcome. We're trying to pull up our music, so please continue to share. It's a good day. Thank you so much for the early birds. Those that are stumbling on our video for the first time, you're welcome. Calm down, please watch to the end.
Sorry. All right. All right. Thank you, brothers and sisters. Continue to help us to share. There's so much platforms you cannot finish in a moment. So as we are speaking, please continue to share and get this message across to our people. All right. So let's go with the our topic today. You've seen our promo. It's already out there for your view. If you're a follower, you should know how we roll by now. So our topic is a terrible president for a terrible country, a terrible president for a terrible country. And this is in line with what is going on. You can see that the interregnum president is have turned himself into a monarchy now. He makes all the decisions. He decides who lives and who dies. He's almost like the God that we go to on Sundays to pray for, right? So, and we warned you guys. We warned you guys when you saw this guy that was in diapers, urinating on himself, crying, "It's my turn. It's my turn. I paid my dues. I gave you guys the money. It's my turn." And people turned a blind eye. They went and got plastics. The church came in full force. Go get your plastic or you will not get to really. If you don't get your plastic, no confirmation. And then as God will have it, we saw every signs around us that this thing we see that is going to be not fruitful. We saw a bunch of plastic cars being dumped in every gutter and trash cans all over our land. But we push forward because there's a scent that was in line to come and save us. Because we always, we are victims. We're always looking for a scent that will come and save us. So one scent came with one watch, and we left everything, every voice of reason that Nina's had on the table, and we proceeded. The likes of Tommy Kosahiana Azagan, the man with thyroid disease that doesn't want to take his medication.
Tommy, yes.
Yes, he came and told you, no, democracy is alive and well. Come on, guys. Somebody can swing from one party to another, and the same week he will get their ticket to be the president, and they are cool with that because it's all about, it has never been about our children. It has never been about the future of our children. So the church, they are bedfellows. You have the politicians, you have the church, they work hand in hand. Because the church will tell us that the hospitals that the government did not build is because of your sisters holding you hostage, because of the witch in your family that is eating you alive at night. So the church will vindicate them and turn your eyes onto the Lord. And the government will continue to steal from us and keep us in abject poverty while we run around and hate each other and fight each other. Go to Igbo land now, you can count how many families, members that are speaking to each other because they really, really believe that the brother is holding them hostage, the sister is, something is holding them hostage. You know, it's the Nigeria constitution that is holding you hostage.
Divide and conquer.
They are working, these are the current warrant chiefs. Yes. They never left the town. They just switch uniform, switch skin color, switch over to your brother. They have been there all along, and you see our sisters trying to put these things in perspective for you. Because it's the same people playing the same games against the same, all of us.
Yes.
A terrible president for a terrible country. Building a Nigeria that works for all will require a fresh union, renegotiation, and reconstruction, according to Ninas. So you coming out and shouting and going on Facebook Live, they are doing it to us again. Oh. I mean, my father's land, though, they have come. Oh. That's lamentation. And we have warned you that lamentation is not a strategy. You crying unto the Lord in the middle of the night, you ba from morning till night, you're babbing to yourself. There is no random guy anywhere coming to save you. The right processes must be in place. So you need to be a change agent. Nigeria is a land of boundless potential, yet it remains trapped in a cycle of suffering, stagnation, and systemic failure. What is the reason? It's a nation built on deception, a nation held hostage by the 1979/1999 Unitary Constitution, a fraudulent document that details the fate of over 200 million people without our consent. If you're a youth corper, your dreams are stifled by unemployment and a broken system. If you're a trader in the market, you battle daily against inflation and economic instability. If you are an ordinary Nigerian, you are left to navigate a life of insecurity, poor governance, and a shattered promises. Brothers and sisters, it is not by accident, rather it is by design. So prayer won't come for it. The right processes must be in place. And the right process is a constitution, a new constitution. A truly federal constitution negotiated by the indigenous peoples of Nigeria should reflect the aspirations, autonomy, and dignities of its diverse ethnic nationalities. Yet, what we have is an imposed pseudo-monarchy where a few dictate the destinies of many, plundering resources, crushing dissent, and leaving generations to inherit a legacy of hardship and despair. Across the world, we can see nations, they are breaking free from the shackles of oppression, embracing true democracy, where people govern themselves, control their ancestral resources, and charter their own courses. But in a place we call Nigeria, we remain trapped in an illusion of unity, held together not by consent, by coercion. You've never had your independence. It has never been about you. Never. It has always been about the enterprise, the colonial terrorist enterprise called Nigeria.
Yep.
So brothers and sisters, the time have come for a reckoning. As this inverted federation gasps for breath, because he is dying, he doesn't have any choice, he has to die. He has sucked all the blood that is there, surviving it in the first place. The indigenous ethnic nationalities are forging a path towards peaceful resolution and true self-determination. So we ask, would you watch this history be written, or would you raise a voice and demand the change that we deserve? In other words, are you willing to be a change agent? Again, for the future of your children, you chose to go in there and get pregnant and give birth to the future generation. What are you willing to do for us to leave a better place for them? So today, We'll discuss the need for the indigenous peoples to take center stage in confronting the union question and unveiling a strategy for just, equitable constitutional arrangement. The future is calling. We hope that you will answer. I will pull up the first video of the day while my sister add.
Thank you so much for that powerful introduction. Yes, our people. You are already living what we're saying. Nobody is your a personal experience. This is your story. Here's the song. This is my story. This is my song. Living in a slave camp all that day long. A terrible president for a terrible country. Yes. The Nigeria you live in is a terrible arrangement, is a terrible country. Not because the land is terrible, but because the construction, the arrangement, the constitutional arrangement is a terrible one. Because it does not belong to the people. It is a slave camp with people held at GUN points. If you do film, they come for you. It is not democracy. But thank God our children are getting it. The Gen Z, all the Gen Z generation, not the people that their brain, they've taken it out. The Gen Z, we give you, hi, keep moving. These are the type of children we want to be hearing speak in public. Please go ahead. Thank you.
I have to make this video. I'm sorry, but I have to make this video. So in response to the 30 days challenge going on, I want all Nigerians to take note of this, because when I thought I was crazy, but when I said it to someone, he was like, he's never thought about it this way. So I feel like I'm on to something here, and I'm just saying it for saying sake, because it is true, and I want every Nigerian to try to dissect everything I'm trying to say. So now we know that we have to start holding a few people accountable for what's going on in our country. It's high time we stopped, it's high time we start pointing fingers and holding a few people accountable, because we know that it's a few people running this country, like literally some friend group running this country. Right. So listen to this, right? I'm sorry if this may trigger anybody, maybe church members, but this is what I've noticed for years now. The former vice president of Nigeria, was is a redeemed pastor, like a pastor with the Redeemed Church. The current president of Nigeria, his wife, is a redeemed pastor. The current EFCC chairman of Nigeria is a redeemed pastor. Now, I don't know if you follow this VDM versus Mercy Chinwo incident, but you realize that like the 3-4 lawmakers, judges, and EFCC people that are literally using power to subdue the EZT guy, all of them are redeemed pastors. Now, we have this picture of hold on, let me show you the picture. So I wanted to put the picture with this video, but technically there's no need, because if you just go on your Google and search Tinubu and Adeboye, you will see countless pictures of them together, both with the wife who is a pastor, both pictures from years ago with Fashola and all of that. Let's say Fashola, sorry, what was his name? The former president of Lagos State, right? Anyways, so this man, Adeboye, right, who is supposedly the head of pastor, like the most influential pastor in Nigeria, I feel like this man really shouldn't come out and say we should fast for anything, because he's literally somehow in the center of the different powers that have come and gone, and he's telling me he has no influence over them, but he has influence over us, in the sense that there's this video that was trending recently. A woman, when we were doing the End Bad Governance last year, this woman, she was hawking drinks on her head, and when they stopped her, they were interviewing her, she spoke very well. So people, they were questioning her. She's like, she can't even take care of her kid. What was enough to get breakfast for her and her child is no longer enough. But because she spoke so well, they probed more and they asked her more questions, and she's like, yeah, she was working in a big school or something, but the administration changed hands, and the new people that came, in her words, the woman fired everyone and brought in her people. Now, when I heard that, I was like, what is her people? Is it like her tribal people or her state people? But anyways, as she kept going, she now said, yeah, like the woman is a redeemed pastor. And when she fired everyone, the replacements she brought were all like part of the redeemed church. You know, when you see things here and here and here, you gotta piece them together and understand, because most people, they don't even understand that the world is so much deeper than they think, and not everything. I don't really believe in coincidences, especially when they happen one too many times. EA Adeboye has so much power in politics. He's literally a very political person. When Goodluck Jonathan was in power, he was one of the people that spearheaded the protest against Goodluck. The same Goodluck that said the USAID with the Obamas, they literally removed him from office and put in whoever they wanted. So like there were a lot of forces against Goodluck Jonathan, maybe because he wasn't doing their bidding or whatever. I'm not saying he was a good president, but during that Goodluck time, when everyone, they were allegedly Obama through USAID started bringing in Boko Haram, Iya Adeboye led a protest against Goodluck Jonathan. So tell me why he's now old buddy, old friend, wife being a pastor in his church is now the president and things are this bad. And this man cannot even say anything to criticize. But he's telling us to fast for 100 days, or at least not us. He's telling his people to fast for 100 days. And I'm like, you have this much power. We can literally see you, like if there is a cabal of churches, I don't there are three people I would mention, but the first person would be this Adeboye guy. And I'm like, I see you having this much power. Like, I don't think there's any presidency that has come and gone that either they're your friends or they're pastors in your church. And remember, if you know how this whole church thing works, at the end of the day, it's the man at the top that is the god of the establishment. I'm sorry. Adeboye is over here, then all the rest pastors are under. So there is nothing except you want to. I mean, let's be honest. If you open the business now, no matter how big that business grows, you should know some of the things going on in your business. At the end of the day, you're the overall head, right? So I feel like this man knows and has control and power of so much to just be a bystander, to just act like he doesn't. Did you get, like, he always try to exclude himself and try to be neutral, when if you really look at his moves and the little things here, redeem pastors. So if you search Google right now and you search redeem pastor this, you will see, oh, redeem pastor, the 10-year-old girl, redeem pastor killed his wife, redeem pastor slept with married. So the reason for that is because redeem is like what do they call it? You know how Mr. Biggs, there's Mr. Biggs here, Mr. Biggs here. So it's called like a franchise. They don't really vet their pastors. Allegedly, from what an ex-redeemed pastor say, if you have money, they just tell you, okay, set up a church, take our logo. So that's basically like a business franchise. They don't vet the pastors. That's why today redeemed pastor did this, tomorrow redeemed pastors did this, because at the end of the day, it's just like a one man's business. I will give you my logo as redeemed, put it in your church, but at the end of the month, you got to bring money to the headquarters, who at the end of the day bring money to me over there. So if you really look at it, there's like too many moves about this whole redeemed church, not just redeemed church now, but like a whole lot of things that Nigerians, we really, as much as we're holding political people involved, we really have to understand that these religious leaders at the end of the day are just men, and smart men at that, very smart, smarter than you. That is why some people would still bash and whatever, but if you really look at it with your inner eyes, you realize there's so many forces going on in Nigeria. It's not just political people now. There's so many people that don't want Nigeria to be better at the end of the day. Because if Nigeria is better, you probably would not need them to pray for you to get that job or to live healthy. So many things would shut down if Nigeria was a good country and people were, actually being taken care of by the government as other countries are. So at the end of the day, we should really just be using our eyes to be looking at all those people one by one. Then we really know the problem or the problems we have in Nigeria. Peace out.
Thank you, my dear.
This generation of Christians.
So I'm just coming back from.
So all we're asking our people is for logic, for common sense, for you to begin to analyze things. Because that's the problem. If you keep thinking that it's somebody that is doing you. Sorry, is anything going on? Your face is showing.
I don't know where this noise is coming from.
if you keep thinking that someone else is doing it, like my sister said that introduction, or is your mother's, is your father's wife, is the witch, is the neighbor, is the four ancestors, you will not hold the people doing you accountable. Because you keep looking for imaginary human beings and imaginary spirits doing you. They are doing it intentionally. So all we are asking is for our people to begin to think. So like this picture that my sister put up, we say Nigeria is a terrible place because it does not belong to the people. It belongs to cabals. There are some cabals that are benefiting from this system, this rotten system, this colonial system, this slavery. The cabals are benefiting from it, and you can't hold them accountable. Why? Because the 1999 Constitution says you cannot. And we'll break it down for you as the show goes on. So now, this is what, this picture is from Nina's, of course, and there's an article, there's a video backing this. If you type it, Nigeria, the Pyramid of Evil, you will hear the breakdown. At the peak of this pyramid is British Crown, because we keep telling you that Nigeria has not been decolonized yet. Nigeria is still colonized. That's why your president, anytime he's coming to vote, he has to go to Chatham House to get permission to take this. So you have to tell them some things. They will not tell him, do this, there are certain things you can't do, and he will agree and sign and deliver. They will deliver you. So under the British Crown, the Caliphate is the local agent working for British that is outside. Under the Caliphate, you now have the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the so-called, which we call inverted federation. Because in a true federation, the indigenous people, that's the constituent members, under federation, the constituent members, we have their own constitution, then bring it together before you can have federal constitution like the Americans have. That's why in America, those that are living in America, you can see that each state is now different, doing their things different, but there are certain things they share at the central, at the federal level, like currency making, home security, homeland security, all these things, that's printing money. But things like your driver's license is your state that takes care of it. So there are some things that will make the people live the type of life they should live. Is the constituent members that will be in charge of that. But it's not like that in Nigeria, because Nigeria is an inverted federation belonging to the cabals. We told you the cabals, the British Crown, the Caliphate, and they use the constitution that is imposed. You did not make that constitution. It's a unitary constitution tying everybody together. So it's not a true federation. So after the constitution, you have the federal government. So whoever that goes to Aso Rock to hold that house, that rock, they will be in charge. It's like my sister said, a monarchy is a pseudo monarchy. So you don't have right to do anything. All this wailing, lamenting, you are really just wasting your time because they are in charge of it. So under it, you see the baseline is where the masses are. You have no choice. You can't say anything. It's what they say that will happen. That's why we call it pyramid of evil. So you can't hold anybody accountable under the 1999 Constitution. So there's a video my sister will pull up. It's called What Went Wrong with Nigeria, because we're not here to just create content. We're here to teach our people. We go get all the information, break it down for you so that things will make sense to you. You pay attention, you understand it. Thank you, our brother Ben, Father Ben Abo. He says, nice program, well done. Thank you, sir. You're welcome, brother Isi Momodu. Thank you, Justin Opala. Thank you so much for all of you. We appreciate you. So please, let's listen. Thank you.
In a union of constitutions, Nigeria became a federation because the constitutions, like the countries of Germany and France and Portugal, discussing whether they could become European Union. That was the kind of thing that happened in those 10 years leading to 1960. The Constitution of Western Region came in 1957, am I right? The one of the East followed. The North came in 1959. These three constitutions, with their full sovereignties in their hands, went to Lancaster House discussion. Correct me, elders, if I'm wrong. It was in Lancaster House that they decided what they would, mandate the center to do for them. and it became the basis of drafting a federal constitution for the independence, with those three constitutions as the federating unit, with all their sovereign powers and authority contributing for the upkeep of the center. By 1966, of course, 1963 came, the Midwest had become the fourth one by plebiscite, and eventually, those 5 constitutions that defined the union were toppled by the military intervention of 1966. From that point on, the meeting that happened in Aburi in 1967 was to see whether we could go back to something that would refloat the ship of state. And they came back and abandoned it and went into bigger state. It's been one imposition after the other. The one we call the 1999 Constitution today was the first staff commissioned by Murtala Mohammed in 1975. Immediately, they overthrew the one. They got lawyers who had to draft for them. Unfortunately, it was our brother, Rodney Williams, the commission, and he had to look for people who do it for them, with him. He found our brother again, Ben Wapweze. It was Ben Wapweze that crafted what went to the Constituent Assembly. The reason Awolowo stayed away, and I'm telling you this from those who discussed it with him, Bankole Oki. The reason Awolowo stayed away was that the draft that Constituent Assembly wants to endorse had already been made out. Of course, Murtala Mohammed had been killed in '76, and Obasanjo, who is their own man more than he's our own man, had to carry through. In fact, the Constituent Assembly did not accept the states that were imposed in 1967 as basis of the union, because that was where we lost our federalism completely. The Constituent Assembly did not accept the presidential system because it will accumulate power like we have seen now. The Constituent, so many things the Constituent Assembly did not accept. The Land Use Act, you all know what happened. The land tenure system in the north is one in which everything belongs to the emir and he gives to whoever he pleases. They have transposed their civilization upon us in going to appropriate all the lands under that land use act, and so many other things that centralize everything to where they can dictate who gets what. And by the time the Constituent Assembly finished its business, on the 21st of September 1978, I'm sure many here will remember that Obasanjo went to the National Broadcast to introduce 17 amendments. Everything the Constituent Assembly recommended that were not in tandem with what was handed over to that Constituent Assembly were removed. And we ended up with 79 constitutions that became 99 when they just added the few states that they had. So this is where we're coming from. And therefore, in going to 2007 to say we have not made a constitution, it is to say there is no federation. There is no federation. You cannot anchor this claim and the right to do all of what you are doing on a fraud in which my signature was put on a document that didn't make, expropriating me and giving you power of life and death over me forever. And we say, at this moment, we can insist that we cannot renew our enslavement by going to a further election unless we raise a question, a dispute that will now have to be resolved one way or the other. They will ignore us, go to the election, buy 4 more years. And what we see in Jos and Benue will be child's play when it moves beyond where it is. Are we prepared to go to renew our enslavement and endanger generations unborn further by going to election under this constitution? If we are not, is it not within our reach now? Because the man who is on the side of the Ike, I'm sure many of you saw that he said it can be done in 3 months. We can insist now. That's the lever we can bring to it. That 3/4 of the country, the brown, the blonde, the blue, and the purple, as you see on that map, is able to stand as a new majority to say that we will not go to another election under this constitution. If that question is raised today, in less than 1 month, we will be at the table of discussing whether we are continuing as one union and if yes or what time before we begin to discuss any election. South Africa came to this bumped up in 1990, President de Klerk announced that they will have to decide a new thing. We are not taking one alphabet from that constitution from which they draw all this power. And if they think God will resolve it, I can only wish them good luck. Thank you very much.
Yep. If they think God will resolve it, they have something else coming for them.
Did you people hear the hand clap? And did you hear the number of people that answered yes in unison? Did you watch the faces of the people in that gathering? Nobody was squeezing face as in, oh, what you're saying is not true. They were all in agreement. We are bringing some of this video for those that think that Nina's just started today. When we say we've been in this journey for 25 years, and some people, ignorant people that are still staying at the back of the house, we say, who knows Nina's?
On the church.
The fact that you are daft, that you don't read newspapers, national newspapers, you're not informed, you don't go for important meetings because you're probably working in one slave camp where you're earning money, does not mean that this work has not gone where it should go. Everybody knows, all the stakeholders know this thing that needs to be done. The only problem why we're waiting for is to get enough momentum to do what needs to be done. And that momentum is gathering. Everything is coming together, working together towards what should be done. So my sister put up a video because we'll give you a summary of the video you just watched and the things that were said. The Unitary Nigeria is a union at GUN point. Ninas is saying this. The only reason, that's why I see them always defending one Nigeria, is GUN that are using to defend it. If it's democracy, you will not use GUN to hold people together. When anybody says anything, you are arrested. When anybody points out anything, you are arrested. It means that it's not democracy you're practicing. The Federation of Nigeria was toppled by the imposition of a unitary constitutional order in 1979, which smuggled by military fiat the atrocious land use and NYSC decrees. Because we're going to play the video for you. We told you that we come here, the things that are trending in Nigeria and all over the world, we will break it down for you so that it will make sense. We don't want our people just to lament and show emotions. We need to understand what is going on so that it be part of the solution rather than being part of the problem. So they brought this decrees by military fiat, the decree that took away the lands of the indigenous peoples, the decree of NYSC, then 68-item federal exclusive legislative list, the 36 states, the 774 local government structure, the 33-year immunity period from January 15th, 1966 to May 29, 1999, 33 years. Immunity, that immunity, what it says that for all the atrocities of the past military leaders, including killing of innocent people, massive looting, and decree that is backing the asset expropriation and acquisition, blanket immunity for incumbent herdsmen of the executive branch with appropriation provisions that hands the spare keys to the treasury to them. When you mean them, that's the president and the governors. The key to treasury, they have the spare key. So they steal and take whatever they want to take. That's why you see they fight. It's a do or die affair to get into these positions. Because once you get into it, you receive key, spare key to the treasury. Take as you want. What is supporting it? The 1999 terrible constitution. So this key given to them, but the constitution is also absolving the government of responsibility towards the people. Most tragically, the authorship of this unitary constitution of death, upon which the union at gunpoint we call Nigeria is erected, is imputed to we, the peoples of Nigeria. That means they finished writing it and said that is you that wrote it. You, the indigenous, they falsely put your signature on a document that you did not produce, a constitution that you did not produce, a constitution of death, A constitution that the only thing it can give to you is backwardness, bloodshed, and death. They finished and put your name on it. That's why we say it is illegitimate, it is fraudulent. What do you do to a fraudulent document? Is it not to trash it? Do you amend it? Now, most tragically, the authorship of this unitary constitution of death, upon which the union at gunpoint we call Nigeria is erected, is imputed to we, the peoples of Nigeria. In the preamble to both the 1979 and the 1999 constitution, Nigeria must make a U-turn. Nigeria must now make a U-turn from its current unitary path of damnation, or brace up for catastrophic collapse. It's what written. There's the article, there's a video attached we will play by Tony Nadi of NINAS, March 17th, 2025. Some people have seen it, but we are reading it for those that have not seen it. So we are going to play a next video. This is the one that NINAS told us about how the enemy deceived Nigerians and tied up everyone and imposed poverty on all of us. Imagine when you finish school, like my sister said, we have sold our land to train our children. And when we are done training our children, we send them to a stupid NYSC where the children will be given stipends for a whole 1 year. These are the children we sold our lands and properties to train. And then people, when they voice out and say that this thing is too much, they will come for you. They will arrest you. They will kill you. They will do whatever they want to do to you. Because you know why? You are in a terrible country. What you call Nigeria is a terrible condition. It's a slave camp. My sister, we call it an open air prison, the biggest open air prison of Black people in the entire world. And you know what? Nigeria is one single entity that is holding the entire Black people all over the world down. So far, Nigeria continued to exist under the 1999 constitution. The Black people all over the world will never move forward. Watch the video. Thank you.
NYSC decree of 1973. For those who have been proudly wearing their uniform of NYSC, you don't question anything. We had a problem that took us to war. War ended. Instead of going to solve the issues that are still unresolved to this date, these same issues we are raising today were the things that took us to war in 1967. How do we live together? Was that not the issue that they went to Aburi and agreed, and then they came back and go on and go abandoned it at the direction of the British and began to kill people, to lock everybody down into what we have seen now? Now, instead of going to solve that problem, you now set up a scheme in which you took young people who may not have been politically conscious when the trouble began, to say, let the young people mix up. The children of the north will come to the south and see their country. The children of the south will go to the north and see their country. And as they mix up, they will understand themselves better, and it will be El Dorado thereafter. That's the front. That's the front screen. At the back end, the NYSC was a scheme by which the children of Sokoto, the children of Kano, the children of Maiduguri were sent to go and serve in Lagos, in Port Harcourt, in Warri, where they will be retained after the service year in NNPC, in NPA, in Central Bank, and all such institutions. Whereas the children of Lagos, the children of Ibadan, the children of Warri, the children of Enugu, the children of Port Harcourt are sent to go and perish in Kaura Namoda, in Gashua, in Birnin Kebbi, wherever. And you get there, there's no prospect of any kind of job. You are taken to rural places to go to teach. 90% of the bureaucracy of how Nigeria is being managed, whether you went to NNPC or you went to Central Bank or you went to any of all these other places, the recruitment process was in that standing instruction of retain them when they come to serve in your place in Port Harcourt and And then they put it in that constitution. NYSC is in a part of the constitution that requires 4/5 majority. That is Land Use Act, NYSC Act. What was land use the decree? They called it act when they imposed the constitution later. What was the NYSC? What was the land use decree? The land ownership system in the north was one in which the emir owned everything, and gave only those he chose. If he didn't give you, he didn't get. In the south, it was different. Lands belonged to individuals and on some occasion communities. And so if you worked hard, you got the quantity, your family could inherit so much, you could buy so much, but all amongst right to private property. The north, this same caliphate, targeting the lands of the south and everybody else in the middle belt, decided to bring the land use decree in which government became the owner of all the lands. In that military era, the governors who were now to be holding, the governors were appointed, governor of your state could come from Kebbi, the governor of Imo could come from Zamfara, and all of that. So these generals, these genocide generals you see that are still hanging around like demons today, they took the choicest lands all across the length and breadth of Nigeria under that land use decree, which they then smuggled into that constitution by the instrumentality of Obasanjo that introduced 17 amendments after the Constituent Assembly had submitted its clean copy. 17 amendments. One such amendment is to restore for the caliphate the states that the Constituent Assembly rejected as federating units instead of the regions. That was how we lost.
All right, we'll post this video. This video is longer than this. This is one of the best video, if you ask me, that Nina's put out there. It gives you the rundown of the whole history, all the facade that you've been seeing, and you can't make anything out of it. I remember my younger sister going to Boronu or someplace for her youth corps, and they put her in a place with giant rats. She says she used to have literally like night terror, thinking about those rats. She would be screaming, or like she says she can't sleep at night because she thinks they may come into her room. She doesn't want to take shower because everywhere is open. And that's her youth corps experience. If she tells you the story, you will be in tears. This is someone that is brilliant. In one Nigeria, she ended up in a hell called Youth Corps' location. And whereas the other people, when they come to our land, they have a house to stay in, they have a place to bed in. But you, the smart Igbo person that came, you're going to a terrorist camp. They will put you in the worst place you can ever imagine. Worst place ever. So we'll put this video, I will repost this video for you, especially if you're a newcomer on this platform. Go and watch that Nina's video. I think it's an audio. It's an audio. Go and listen to it. Everything you've been seeing that be flickering all over your head will now begin to cement, and you can make sense of it. Go ahead, sister.
Yes, it's an audio. It was put in an audio so that I can go round. We cannot finish telling the story of the woes who have suffered being in this terrible contraption. And if you say it's terrible, they will come for you. The cabals, the owners of the terrible place that they kept our own people. That is why I say that when people leave that terrible place, they become big. They begin to excel. It's an incinerator for talents, for people moving forward. It has become urgent. This is an urgent public notice put out by Ninas. It says Nigeria is being set on fire by the use and misuse of the fraudulent 1999 Constitution. This is the truth. And we are inviting you to this truth. We are inviting you to embrace the truth. We are not calling you to lament. We're not telling you to get so angry and then get yourself into trouble. No, because there's a procedure. Everything in this life has the way that it's done. What we are talking about is the complete decolonization of Africa. Complete decolonization. Like you're seeing them doing in Burkina Faso, in Mali, Chad, because those ones also had what you call pacts for continued colonization. They had to sever themselves from France first. They had to break that away, then began to move forward. It's the same thing we're supposed to do. We're supposed to topple this colonial 1999 constitution. It beats it pains me when I hear so-called trained lawyers saying we have constitution. I'm like, is it that these people missed their class? Do you not know what constitution making is? Did they not teach you in law school? Who owns constitution? Who makes it? The constitution of a country, how is it made? Who makes it? It's made from the ground to up, and the people will say what they want inside it. Now, we're like we told you that terrible country is burning itself down because it's not supposed to exist. I don't even know why it's still existing. That type of place still existing. Even the people that contracted it, the people that made it, are still surprised that you people are living under it.
My dear, they are like flabbergasted.
Yes, they're flabbergasted. They're just like, I thought people have professors, lawyers, have engineers, have so-called educated people. You mean they're still allowing this 1999 constitution to govern them? So they're surprised. But you know what? Because it's a crime against humanity. As humanity is moving to better things, it's going to go down because it has become a threat to global peace. Nigeria is gradually destroying itself through the use and misuse of the fraudulent 1999 constitution. So this video we're going to play now, listen, we'll talk when we come in. Thank you.
For a fundamental transformation of Nigeria, citing the country's long history of broken promises and contradictions. According to Tony Nnadi, Nigeria's attempts to promote patriotism through the national anthem are futile, as the country's actions consistently undermine its lofty declarations. Ninas argues that Nigeria's problems stem from its flawed foundation, particularly the imposition of the 1999 Constitution without the consent of the people. This constitution is based on three falsehoods. They say that the people of Nigeria agreed to unite, that they resolved to live in unity, and that they gave themselves the constitution. The movement emphasizes that Nigeria's issues cannot be resolved through superficial measures like changing the national anthem or holding elections under a disputed constitution. Instead, Ninas are proposing a 5-point constitutional reconstruction plan, which involves acknowledging the truth about Nigeria's false foundation and renegotiating the terms of the union. This is the Eastern Eye. I'm Alex Obodo. The Eastern Eye here on Afia TV, a program that X-rays the political, social, and economic developments around us. Joining me tonight is Barrister Tony Nnadi. He's the Secretary General, Lower Niger Congress, LNC, and co-convener of the Indigenous Nationalities Alliance for Self-Determination, NINAS. Thank you so much, Barrister Tony Nnadi, for joining me tonight on the Eastern Eye.
Not even Barrister. Glad to be with you again.
All right. Okay, good, great. I understand you always don't like me to say the Barrister Tony Nnadi. Okay, I would just say Tony Nnadi, but you know, where I come from, I can't just throw your name at you like that. I hope you understand. All right, so the NINAS has key points in their proposals, one of which is that acknowledging the false foundation, recognizing that Nigeria's constitution was imposed without the people's consent. How do you situate this for those who are probably not well aware of this issue?
Well, the matter is simple. we're looking at Nigeria. This is a state of the union kind of exchange. What are we seeing? What are we going to do about the things we don't like? You look around the country, you see the agitations in the Niger Delta, you see the Biafra commotion in the Igbo side, and the rest of the western side waving the Odua flag. You see corruption that is walking on the street. You see impunity, the type we see going on in Port Harcourt now, and the Supreme Court that is able to turn men into women, just traveling outside the Constitution. You see the massive impoverishment that has happened from the policies of the government in place and all such things. And then Nigeria begins to look like a war zone for its constituent people. And then we are saying that most of the constituents, the constituent components of Nigeria, those people who the British lumped together in 1914 and called them Nigeria, they are feeling trapped in this union. It's a union at gunpoint for them, and they have done everything to raise the alarm they should raise, because there is a known cause for the disease that is bedeviling Nigeria and Nigerians. That known cause is the departure from the federal arrangements that was agreed upon at the time of independence. That is to say, the federating regions will be like countries of their own, unionizing into a federating, in which they each had their constitutions and controlled their economic assets and pursued their developments according to their own priorities, using their own economic assets. And so in the eastern region of the time, you had the palm produce being the basis of the economy, and it was doing so very well. We had the cocoa-based western region economy, and it was doing so very well. And you see, it came down to where those things collapsed in 1966, and got replaced by a unitary constitutional arrangement. The name of the disease that is about to kill Nigeria, that is choking Nigerians wherever they are, whether they are being beheaded in the Middle Belt or they are being expropriated in the Niger Delta of their oil and gas, or they are being pursued around the forests of Ife and Ekiti in Yoruba land, whatever it is, or they are being forced to leave their homeland to flee towards America and Europe, dying in the Mediterranean and trekking across the dangerous desert. There is only one thing that is at the center of why those things are happening: the unitary constitutional arrangement of Nigeria. That is 100% responsible for all of what we have seen not working with Nigeria. And so, why do people cry about those things? And the fact that they have identified what the problem is, like an ailment that has to be cured, you have to do a diagnosis. The NENA's diagnosis is that it is the unitary constitution of Nigeria that is the problem. For whatever anybody may point to as a problem, whichever way it manifests, we're in a position to point you to the section of the constitution that is directly responsible for it. And if you want us to try, even in course of this program, you can raise a few of the things, whether it's corruption or impunity or the lack of infrastructure or the electoral malfeasances we see, that you go to election and the outcome is turned into something else. All of that. Anyone you say, now tell me, how is the constitution responsible for this? Then I will take you to the section, that is responsible for it. Why are the governors and the president stealing in this manner? Why is it that none of them is called to account or held to account? The entire thing is by that constitution. And so when people begin to say, we can't continue like this, you will see them agitating in one form or the other. If you want to understand the agitation, if you want to understand their complaint, against the backdrop of what I've just explained, we go to the preamble to that constitution. Those things you said about the false claim,
Barrister Nadi,
in that preamble.
Barrister Nadi, sorry that I'm interrupting you, but of course, the president made a broadcast a few minutes ago, and a state of emergency has been declared in Rivers State, and the governor and the deputy has been suspended for 6 months. So, and you alluded to it when you started the response. So with everything happening in Rivers, it culminated to this, removal of the governor and his deputy. You've always seen this as the end game, that this was where it was headed, to remove the governor and his deputy.
Yes, you see, we know where it is coming from. It is the president. You have now seen the real man, the man behind the masquerade have now spoken up. And where we've landed now was exactly how Nigeria began this journey to damnation right after independence. The independence election produced an outcome that would have been easy to proceed happily with. Those who did not want that outcome are the center, that is the federal government of the time, didn't want that outcome. The British that were trying to hand over to their own agents didn't want that outcome. And so they truncated it. Awolowo ended up in prison from having won, and a majority of the vote that would have made him the first prime minister of Nigeria. From there, the people of the Western region began to resist what was going on, because there were also regional elections in the midst of all of that. That is what did they vote for? And so that resistance became something for which the federal government of the time declared a state of emergency on the 29th of May in 1962 to contain the resistance from the people, the type that Rivers people are trying to do today. The federal government of the time, against the provisions of the constitution of the time, against all known facts around the matter, declared a state of emergency, appointed one Dr. Majeko Nomi as sole administrator of the Western region of the time. It was in that suspension of the government of the Western region that the matter became worse. People trooped out, in protest. That was what became Wild Wild West, when the elections met them having not resolved that matter. And so it became something for which law and order broke down on such a scale that the Western region became ungovernable. It was in that ungovernable state of Western region that the soldiers that intervened on the 15th of January had to intervene to stop the madness of the politicians that are no different from what we have seen today. You saw the origin of this commotion. The Supreme Court of Nigeria has abandoned the Constitution of Nigeria. The Supreme Court of Nigeria evaded, sidestepped, jettisoned that Constitution as it decided the presidential election of 2023. That Constitution required 25% of the votes, valid votes, cast in the Federal Capital Territory. We're tracing how they came to this, what they're doing now, that is manifesting in a state of emergency in Rivers State. The Supreme Court of Nigeria abandoned the Constitution that we're already rejecting in declaring the one they now swore in later as the president from an election he clearly did not win on account of that provision of that Constitution. There is nothing the Supreme Court is going to do to place itself above the Constitution, as disputed as that Constitution is. The Supreme Court will not be allowed to place itself above that Constitution. We are tolerating that Constitution for the sake of peace until we get to the discussion table. But the way they are going, they may force Nigerians to abandon that Constitution and then take things into their hands. That's what the Supreme Court is inviting in this situation. And they are not alone. They are aided by the executive branch, because it is that same Supreme Court that of late affirmed the death sentence on Sunday Jackson from Adamawa, who was attacked on his farm by a Fulani invader with a knife. He saw that he would die if he didn't fight back. He fought back, managed to overpower that invader, and again, just to save himself, in self-defense, he had to stab the one who had stabbed him. And then the fellow who started the attack, the Fulani fellow in Jackson's farm, died from his own injury. Jackson ended up being charged to court and sentenced to death for defending himself in his farmland inside Nigeria because a Fulani invader had come to attack him. Now this matter travels all the way 10 years down to Supreme Court. In less than 2 minutes, the Supreme Court of Nigeria affirmed that death sentence as if that life did not matter at all. We then say, what kind of law? We saw what happened in Port Harcourt to bring us to this. These 27 men left the party. The videos are all over the place. They swore to affidavit. It wasn't something that happened in the dark, so that we begin to ask whether it really happened or it didn't. They left the party. The provision of the Constitution on the subject is that if you left the party at the time it was not in division, you lost your seat. And so whoever, whatever be the number that is left, will be the full, House of Assembly that will do the business until the vacancies are filled. The speaker that was left declared the vacancy. INEC it was that had to conduct, that filling exercise. INEC has not done so. So the governor carried on as permitted by the rules. We look at Plateau State, a similar thing happened. The Supreme Court, declared the law to say that whoever is left is the full, is the house that has to deal with the business of the legislative branch. And you see, that double standard was applied, in Rivers State. Another standard was applied in Rivers State, in which this same Supreme Court turns round to find a way to now say that those 27 men, constitute the House of Assembly. And in no time, they began to serve impeachment notice and all of that. Of course, the people came to the streets saying no. And now we are seeing the intervention from Abuja again.
All right.
Remember in 1983.
Yes.
Hold on. Remember again, in 1983, elections happened in Ondo. The federal government didn't like the outcome, and they turned around to topple it. How did we end up? The Second Republic collapsed. After the collapse of the First Republic, from elections, again, in 1966, we are on the third cycle of this very same, mischief that will capable of plunging Nigeria into a totally uncontrollable situation. A totally uncontrollable situation. We have to tell the younger ones who didn't know that these things had happened before.
Yes.
And we are talking to that president, Bola Tinubu. We are talking to that Supreme Court. We are talking to all I do not want to talk about the minister because the buck stops on the table of his principal. They are plunging the country into the inferno we have been through. We have not even recovered from the one of 66.
Oh, yes.
Because this constitution we have now was the end product of that commotion that began on the 15th of January in 1966 when the soldiers came.
Yes, thank you.
The politicians from this same type of madness that we have seen.
Yes.
All right, we'll stop this video here. We'll put this video in its entirety so you can see how our brother was able to give an insight as to where we were. I will pull up the next video while my sister asks.
Yes, you can see what we're telling you. We always connect things together so that it will make sense to you. You see how, if you have lived long in Nigeria, the word deja vu will make sense to you. Because when you see something, you say, we have seen this thing before now. They keep repeating because it's the same template they're using. The template of colonialism and neocolonialism. It's the same solution that they have for this any problem that you have, because it must be like you must be confiscated, the people must be tied, and then the cabals will be in charge. Now, we told you that because the space, the geographical space called Nigeria does not belong to one individual, one ethnic nation, it's ethnic nationalities coming together on that land, enslaved. So conversation has been going on between us and all the stakeholders. We also recognize the fact that some people have invested in our land. So it's not things you do anyhow. That's why even to America, we've gone there, sat down with them, and began to put things in place. That's why you see some policy changes you see in America is because they are well informed. Everybody knows. The thing is, do you have courage to do the right thing? But the beauty of it is that whether you have courage to do the right thing or not, it's going to happen. We are saying we are only here every Saturday to prepare our people so that you will not be a victim of what is about to happen. You will get informed and be part of the solution, not part of the problem. Because those are part of the problem, you see, this house will collapse on their heads. So this is our brother Tony Nnadi going out to say Nigeria, as currently constituted, is a problem to global community. That's why everybody is for. I hear people say, oh, this is Nigeria, it's a sovereign state. But your Nigeria is constituting a problem to the rest of the world. So everybody has to be part of the solution. So on January 17th, 2019, the Secretary General of Lower Congress, that is LNC, because as they were showing our show, so one ignorant person said, oh, LNC, where are you people? People just don't understand the process. So the Secretary General of Lower Niger Congress, Mr. Tony Nnadi, made a special presentation at the National Press Building in downtown Washington, D.C., at a special press conference convened by the Mission Africa International regarding the in-season murder and mass killings of Christian indigenous populations of Nigeria. And we say it's not just Christians, it's even other people like other religion, like other religious minorities. They will tell you that it's ethno-religious cleansing that is going on. So he said the cleanse of Christians, indigenous populations of Nigeria, especially in Middle Belt region of the country, by the Islamist Fulani terrorist militia. So when you owe or co-owe something to people, or people have invested in your land, when you're going to make decision about how to solve the problem, you will involve everyone. So we told you that there's what you call intra-regional alliance and discussion, inter-regional alliance and discussion, and then international imperative, where everybody will be on the same page. Listen to this presentation so that you understand why we do things the way we do and where we're going forward. Thank you.
To come to share some light is the source of that problem. The source of that problem. I talked about diagnosis that will lead to prescription, that could then lead to treatment that will work. If you fail with the diagnosis, your prescription is going to be wrong. The patient will die. The patient here is the sick Nigeria. And our concern is less for Nigeria than for Nigerians. It's a world of difference. If you mix up the two, you're going to end up killing the people you thought you were going to save. Having listened to some of the things that have been said, even on this segment, what we have in our hand is a Nigeria that has become a rogue state. And the global Islamic movement has targeted it to make it their operational base for what they are doing globally, having been challenged in the Middle East. And it's not something that began last night. It's something that has come a long way. And they've, at this time, succeeded in establishing a passage from where they have to relocate to where they target. And on the last page of the paper you have, you will see the map of Nigeria. The size of the problem is this, that to all this Atlantic Ocean, to the bottom here, on all these sides are ungoverned spaces. Chad, Niger Republic, Northern Mali, and most of what you call Northern Cameroon are just a satellite playground for what the one you call Nigeria. But that Nigeria collapsed in 1966. when the constitutions that brought them together, were overturned. And a rogue federal government emerged, operated by a caliphate. And when you hear caliphate, the Islam, the Islam they put on it is to confuse those who do not know what it is all of. It's a political movement that grabs sovereign spaces and actually target the whole global, how much of it they can get. And but they always require some launching, some operational basis in which they won't be challenged. And what's going on there is that they have found, having hijacked that federation, the sovereign space, housing that federation that collapsed in 1966, becoming a federal government. I'm sure you hear about federal government of Nigeria all the time. Becoming a federal government in a situation where the federation had collapsed, but operating a unitary system in which they're in charge of everybody's bedroom. They've seized all the assets of the owners of the place. And the only thing remaining now, and that's where the urgency of it comes in, the only thing remaining now is that they are eliminating what could become future claims of the indigenous peoples of the area by cleansing them off. They've already finished the task in this upper parts that they've imposed Sharia. We have 12 states that simultaneously impose Sharia in a supposedly secular federation. Having done that, they also found their way to Government House. The Haram you hear, but just their mechanism to bulldoze their way to Government House. The day after the election, they went into the mission for which they got to that Government House, and that mission was to overrun the rest of this territory. And where they are now, if you look closely to the map, you will see the Middle Belt. You hear about Benue, Plateau, and all of that. They just moving upon the communities, removing them, and bringing their kinsmen, because the Fulani, incidentally, do not have they are an itinerant population, nomads, all the way from Gambia to Senegal, all of the West African, and they are bringing, as they sack one community, they bring, they already allotted the whole place up to Port Harcourt to, Fulani of one country or the other. The people they call herdsmen are the advanced team, the ones who have come, like, about the promised land. When they got there, there were giants occupying the place, and they had to be removed for those who came to take their inheritance. That's what they're doing now. The owners of the various places are being removed for those who say it is their inheritance. They actually tell us to our faces that the place was given to them by Allah, and they will do everything to take every part of it. They've succeeded in taking the assets of all the sites. You hear about Niger Delta and the agitation for their oil and gas. All those things have been sequestered long time ago from the point of that collapse of the constitutional arrangement. And I call it rogue federal government because if you have a federation, imagine the United States, in which the constitution that secures everybody is overthrown by maybe not even any big state. California is big enough. Imagine if it were Long Island or some Maine in the Northeast here that overthrows the constitution of the United States and becomes the owner of the whole of California, the oil assets of Texas, and all of that, and manages to impose a constitution in which you can no longer generate electricity for yourself, you can no longer police yourself, you can no longer elect who will govern you, because they have to do everything from the center. And in that kind of a situation, having secured that ownership permanently by brigandage, they now want to remove future claims by removing the human beings. It's ethnic cleansing that is called, and I'm sure we had a Danjuma chapter. So if we do not realize that that's what's going on, we probably will be saying, let's go save Nigeria. It's not Nigeria that's into Nigeria died a long time ago. It's the Nigerians trapped in that space that are in trouble. And what can be done for them now is to recognize the reality of the situation and the implication for the global community. Because if they go beyond where they are now, They say they're going to election. You know what that election for? They want to get another 4 years to sweep through what is left into the Atlantic water frontier. And what has happened on ground there is that somehow we've managed, in the organization I'm secretary to, we've managed to wake up the owners of the rest of the place to say, if we do nothing, these guys have been decimating piecemeal. It will come to you at some point. And when it comes, nobody's going to come to your aid. In a situation where if anybody's in doubt as to who is the source of the terror, the governor in Kaduna State, you remember the one on the Christmas Eve, they imposed curfew. People were not to move around. And everybody thought, well, at least for the period of the curfew, we could relax in our village. These people came from nowhere and sacked, they killed over 890-something people on the eve of Christmas, people who were getting ready to just celebrate the next day. And the governor, his response to all of that was to say, oh, that they went, that
Mr. Erufai
were Fulani from outside Nigeria. And that he had, as governor, gone to give them money in 14 different countries to plead with them to stop coming to kill people. And if you interpret it further, you will see that they know where the killers come from. There is their responsibility, ordinarily, to protect the people who are in their domain. They are not doing that. And they take money from the treasury to go to give to those people. And it's simply the reason he said, what he said, he told them that Fulani now in charge. That means you don't have to do any more of this. We're already here. Take it easy. We'll find a way to deal with the rest of it. They are taking over the place. And if they do, in no time, the whole of these territories we're pointing at, the whole of that chart, bigger than Nigeria in landmass. Niger, bigger than Nigeria in landmass. Northern Mali, bigger than Nigeria. If those three alone, get sucked in, because that's what's going to happen, you have a monster operating from it, because the rest of West Africa will just collapse into, is it Benin Republic or Togo, which of them? They will suck that in, and they will have in their hand the proceeds of the oil and gas that is sold there to finance their global operations. And anybody who will be coming here to fight with them, to try to remove them, like the fight that's been going on in the Middle East. Middle East is desert. You can see from 1 million miles what you want to do. But if that comes up here, and we're very close to getting to that, if they escape with going to this election, that will renew and reinforce that constitution they have put in place. They call it democracy. I'm sure we all know about the apartheid South Africa. The closest to what is going on in that place is that apartheid, in which a minority stranger population became the owner of the entire space to the exclusion of the owners. And they have succeeded in keeping it almost 20 years. They want this one more election since they've got their man who has the capacity to do the evil that is required to finish the business. That's where they're going. And what we have done is to get all these ones to say, this constitution is not of us. The one we made, you overthrew. For 50 years, we've been asking that we discuss. You say we can no longer discuss. You go pull arms from everywhere, seize power in government house, pretend it's all a democracy, killing everybody, and now we won't go with you any further. The help that the global community can give to the situation is to listen, to understand what the problem is, and to go to nip it in the bud. Because if it grows any larger than it is, now like you do with cancer, what we've done is offers a quarantine plan to that situation. If that quarantine is not in place in good time, the global community will pay a very high price.
And the global community is not ready to pay that high price. That's why they paid attention and they have listened. This meeting we told you took place January 17th, 2019. Now, every 4 years that you will go for election, you are only giving that Nigeria that is killing you, that 1999 constitution that is killing you, one more life, oxygen for them to continue to oppress you, suppress you, and do whatever they're doing to you. People will now say, okay, what do we do? We were playing this video for you right now for you to understand your role, because you, like the first video we played, you are the one going to pay tithe and offering to your church leaders. Your church leaders are the ones sponsoring the politicians and working with the politicians, because it's a give and take thing. During the election, they gather you, they make sure you don't do any other thing, you don't protest, you don't do anything. They gather you, you go and stand in line to validate that there's democracy going on. That's why they give them money to buy private jet. That's why the politicians work hand in hand with your church leaders. They give them money to buy private jets and build their homes and build schools and do everything, just so that when it's time for election, they will gather you and hand over to the politicians. So they work as partners. And guess who is promoting them? You listening to us. You are the one promoting the church leaders. You're not holding them accountable for when they told you to bring PVC and the PVC meant nothing. You're not holding them accountable. You're not holding your activists, people like Showore, people like Dele Faro to me. You're not holding your so-called activists and freedom fighters. You're not holding them accountable, because they keep telling you, yeah, we have solution. Come. We have electoral reform. Let's go and vote. And when you finish, what is happening is happening. You're not holding them accountable. So all these people you must hold accountable, and your politicians and your traditional rulers that are swearing to uphold the 1999 constitution, you must compel all of them to say no to the journey to 2027 election, so that we can rework the union first and stop the bloodshed before we move on. So pay attention to what you need to do. This is the solution. This is what Ninas want you to do. Thank you.
Say, oh, restructure. We do it this way and not that way. The Ninas 5-point proposition is the only proposition on the table that identifies the problem in specificity. The unitary constitution of Nigeria, that identifies the solution to decommission that constitution, that identifies the mechanism for applying that solution. That is to suspend the elections, go into transition to rework that constitution. That's the mechanism for that decommissioning. The number 4 of the proposition is a strategy for activating that mechanism, to say, look, let the victims of this constitution insist that they won't go to another election as a mark of their rejection of that constitution, and therefore be the ones to come in a 2-stage procedure to work out the replacement. It is not the business of National Assembly. The question of constitution making is far beyond the mandate, the legislative mandate of National Assembly. Anybody in the National Assembly who is discussing constitution on your behalf is holding on to your sovereignty, and they're telling you they now own you. They are now the owners of the sovereignty. That you voted at the election it has become reason why they are now the owners of your lives. They can decide what will happen to you, whereas you are the one who sent them on an errand, and they went and joined the enemy to wreck you, to kill you, and share your blood. That is what they do every month in Abuja. They're sharing your blood. And so, in the 5th proposition, we say a time-bound announcement. What we're inviting the people of Nigeria to do today is to adopt those 5 points of proposition, because that is what will take the matter from start to finish, where we are now. There's nothing that is going to stop those who are tormenting you from carrying on in 2027. Is it the police that will repent and come and join you in how to topple them in election? Is it the INEC that have been sharing with them for many years that will repent and now begin to count your vote? Is it this judiciary we have seen that is going to repent and now declare the truth, declare the law? We've seen that they have gone worse than they have ever been. And so all of what you need to bring about any change, if you don't define it by yourself, you have to define the change. It's not enough to come and say, oh, we want change. Oh, we want revolution. What is it that has to be done to bring about that change? What is it that has to be done to compel the renegades that are now have hijacked the powers of state? In an election, we saw how it went. And this address goes to all of those who subscribe to that constitution, who subscribe to elections under that constitution, because their stupidity has led us to where we are now, in which millions of people are distressed. That stupidity, by that small number, has become the reason 230 million people can perish. Their life is already ruined. Many are dying off. Others are running away to even more serious danger than Nigeria is. You saw the ones in Libya. You saw the ones going to Asia. You saw the ones that managed to get to UK. They are telling them now that they have to be deported. They have to be taken to Rwanda or wherever. Go to the US and see the pandemonium. But all of us, home and abroad, who suffer because we are Nigerians, whose passports have become a badge of shame, this address applies to all of you. The diaspora, the Nigerian diaspora, we are talking about the constitution that is worse than apartheid. You are busy organizing yourself in how you come and vote. Vote the votes of the millions of people at home. What has it amounted to under this constitution? Why can't you join that discussion of how we get rid of this constitution? The South Africans in the days of apartheid, who were overseas, everybody was on one subject. How do we get rid of apartheid constitution? But today you're not involved in the discussion of getting rid of that control. You are talking about how to come and vote, how to come and all of you belong to one party or the other. We see you come in and go. You fly in for party conventions. You partake, you are party chairman of a which party under which constitution? Under which constitution? We ask you. What is the value of your education if you cannot sit down and make an analysis of what the problem is? Can you cure an ailment if you have not diagnosed it? And so we invite you to this. If you have not read that force majeure, particularly the 5-point proposition, you get on whatever search engine, Google, whatever. Go to the website www.ninasvoice.org. Search for, just type force majeure. It will come up in many headings. Go and read that 5-point proposition so you can see what.
Go and read the 5-point proposition. Who knows? Who knows, my people? Who knows? Our people are struggling with reading. They would rather plan parties and do Wazobia in Houston. Yeah, it's so funny down here, right? Our people run away from Nigeria. Nigeria has never been good to them. They are in Houston celebrating Nigerian independence, celebrating Wazobia. Who did, like, what level of madness is this? This is a place that denied you every opportunity to be in a place where your umbilical cords are buried. You are in another man's land celebrating the same damn place that every time you go there in December to go show off, you come back sweating like a pig in a damn pig house. But no, because everything about you is about dishonesty. Your church, every way is about dishonesty. Even your marriages, everything about you guys are full of dishonesty.
Psychosis.
We have psychopaths wandering around answering Igbo names. And when you look at them, when you come close, they don't have any atom of their ancestors' DNA in them. It has been whitewashed, brainwashed by church, by the environment where they're living and everything else. Despicable people.
Especially church, because the main thing is the church. The religious, the brainwashing, it makes the brain dead. Religious psychosis. So you're not up to see what is happening to you, to say, okay, this is what is happening to me. So you are believing it's one demon, one spirit that is troubling you. So if you believe it's a demon that is troubling you, you won't look for the solution now because you feel incapacitated. So in order to keep yourself, somebody that, so you have to, you need therapy. So that church is therapy to them. That going to party is therapy to them. That dancing is therapy to them because they're incapacitated. There's nothing they can do anymore. So they just have to be dancing and wearing clothes. That is what the church, the religion they are practicing in Nigeria has reduced our people. That's why we say the main issue is delivering our people from this terrible religion that makes you not to be realistic, because it makes you different from our ancestors. Our ancestors were practical people. When there is a problem, they face it and deal with it. But your own, you will not deal with it, because in your brain, the religious man that is promoting you, that the politicians are using to brainwash you, have told you that your problem is from your mother, is from your father, is from your sister, is from your brother. Meanwhile, all this is just to divide and conquer us so that they can rule us. You see what we're saying? That you need to go and find God by yourself. Stop following these criminals. Stop following them.
My dear, say that again. If only they can see how much more we want for them. That we just want more for our people. We want our people to live life with dignity. We want our people to live in unity, because there's disunity everywhere. All in the name of church. People don't miss their mass. Maha they drew her mass. Papa had they drew her mass. And then more they drew her mass. Adoration agree yet and we're saying there's a way out. We must take down that constitution, the 1999 constitution that is holding every one of us hostage, that has caused us to become who we are not, that will run away from a place that denied us opportunities, and then we'll come somewhere else and be celebrating that place. You can see, just check, go to check here. You left the place that you were born at, your umbilical cords are very there, your ancestors are there, you brought your children, or you came to another place to have children, amongst random people. And our children are marrying in the Afghanistan, in the Kyrgyzstan, no shame, in the Russia, when the Hanalo, everybody all a which we never see in Indian or Asian communities. Only all a halo. Mahana Kokwana Kampaha, because Halonya church, white skin will come into their families. Whew, Jais. Facts about Nigeria. By the provision of the imposed neo-colonial 1999 constitution that hijacks ethnic sovereignty, the indigenous peoples have no right which one Nigeria is bound to respect. And there is none at all. So please, don't go videotaping yourself saying, I'm in my land. They are coming here to harass. They will harass you. You're just a slave. You're just a slave in an open air prison, my brothers and sisters. You're just a slave. Anything else that you're doing, money can help you here and there, but at the end of the day, you are just a slave in your own land. That's why you can't go from point A to point B without police stopping you.
No rights. You have no
rights.
You have
no rights. You have no rights.
Slaves do not have rights. Slaves do not have rights.
So until we decide that we don't want to be an open air prison, then there is a template on the table to end all this madness. It is a template on the table. And the Americans are still wondering, why are the educated fools in America? Why are they not reacting to all of this? How could they? Everything about them is a lie. Their life is a lie. Their alcohol is a lie. Their marriages are lies. Their children are not even in sync with them. Their children don't like who they are, because you have left everything about you. The things all your forefathers, Ije Menganga, Dike, Ebube Dike, Agune Chemba, real one of Vijana Zahane Yakwa, real one. Ochudo, Odezi Obodo, Wanyo Bioma, Udana Zaha without the substance. Brothers and sisters, we must end this madness. If not for anything, like I always say, for the sake of our children. So we say, please, close shop. Can you see this screen?
Yep.
Okay. Does it say close shop?
Yes, close shop. No, close shop. Mandi politicians, so Mandi, all of you fake people that have ruined our people. Close shop. We are transitioning to renegotiation of our existence. Ozugozie. Take our brother, Jacob Allah. Thank you for stopping by. Justin Okbala, thank you. Daddy, Reverend Salami, Thank you for stopping by, and thank you, all of you. Isimamodu, just not Allah, and those that we can't see your name, and those that we watch later, because we know that once we drop the video, people want to come and watch because they don't want to be seen that they're watching it in case their church people will see them. Are you watching those? Are you watching those antichrists? They will come and sneak and watch. It's okay. So far, your brain is getting reset. We are good because we are here for the liberation of our people. And we can see what
I don't know how serious that we are. If we see that your God that is subjugating our people, that God, I got buy your talk. I got really. That's how serious we are. That's how serious. Any God against our people, I'm here. He will be under arrest and he will be dealt with. God, how about welcome, man? Until next week, brothers and sisters, we will see you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye. Love you all.